Welcome back to the Capture 2019 tutorial series. In this episode, we are going to take a closer look at object manipulation. I'm going to start with a blank project file and add a box from the library so we have something to play around with. In Capture, we select objects by clicking on them, and when you do so, there's a number of items appearing. To begin with, there is a red region that surrounds the selected objects, where if we click anywhere inside it and drag, we can move the selected objects. We also have a triangle tool here. This is called the rotation anchor. We can use this to rotate the selected objects. We can reposition the rotation anchor by clicking in the innermost region of it. The edge of the rotation anchor defines the center of the rotation. This means that we can rotate the box, in this case, along its center, as well as along its edges. When we have objects selected, there's also a number of buttons that appear in and around the selected objects. The first one manipulates the selection itself, which means we can select and deselect specific objects. The most commonly used function might be the deselect one, which simply deselects whatever you had selected. The second button, the cogwheel-like one, reveals all of the commands available to manipulate the selected objects. Here we have things like delete and clone, for instance. The third button is the drag and quick copy button. We can use this to create copies of the selected objects, both in the same project and when importing objects from another project. We can also use it to do things like patching of fixtures and a few other examples that I will show you in the other tutorial episodes. The fourth button here reveals a quick summary of the selected objects with information like layers used, weight, rating, or whatever is relevant for the current selection. Let's make use of the quick copy button and create 2 copies of the box. We now have 3 objects, and in order to select them all, I can either drag the mouse around them, or I can click on them one on one while holding the Shift key. I can also use the Control key. This behaves slightly different from the Shift key in that every time you click on an object, you toggle its selection state. Now that I have 3 objects selected, there's a few additional features we can take a look at. To begin with, we can use the corners of the selection to redistribute the selected objects. We can also choose whether we want to use a group rotation or an individual rotation when using the rotation anchor. The individual rotation is very useful, for instance, when you want to flip around a number of fixtures without moving them around on stage. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about the snapping. When you are moving objects around, you can see purple snap guides appearing that shows you how they will snap. The snapping makes it easier to align objects with each other or to attach them, or at least place them very close to each other. But there are occasions when you need or want to turn this off because you want to make a tiny precise movement. And then you can use the Escape key on the keyboard. The Escape key disables any snapping so that you can place objects at any location without the snapping kicking in. You can also use the Shift key when moving objects. This activates orthogonal movement, which means that you can only move objects horizontally or vertically. Thanks for watching, and see you soon in the next episode.